Hello, 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 everybody. This is Dr. Shaniva Early, your craft doctor, and I'm doing this video because I find myself wondering how to do bases out of regular card stock. If you buy kits from places such as Anna Griffin or Crafter's Companion, they come with the card bases already intact. And so if you're a person that popularly get those popular kits all the time, you may be a little confused on the sizes or what's going on with the newest thing that they have right now, which is the 4x6 card base. And so I just wanted to come and make this video, just something quick, so I can put some demystification out of some of these bases that we have. Okay, so for the average A2 card base, all it is a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. That's it. All you do is take that plain 8.5 by 11 and you fold it in, you cut it in half to 5.5, which makes 2 card bases. Then you score it at 4.25, and now you have an A2 card base. That's the normal American card bases. All I did was score it, and you could score it first at 4.25 and then cut it. I'm using my Stampin Up trimmer that has the score and the cut all together. So that now an 8.5 by 11 gave you 2 plain card bases, which works perfectly for most A2 card sizes. And I will get back to these in a minute. And then you can also take the 8.5 by 11 and you can score it at 5.5. Instead of cutting it, you score it at 5.5, just like that. And then you cut it at 4.25. And when you do it this way, you still have an A2 size card base, but now it's like this instead. So it's still A2 size, it's just in a different direction. Just like that. And when you score your bases, you don't have that brokenness. It's usually very smooth. So 2 cards, 2 sizes of paper, 2 of the same size of paper, yielding you 2 different styles of cards. Okay? We're going to hold these off because I'm still going to use these later. Okay? Then we have what we know as the universal size for making cards that we buy in a store. It's a 5x7. So what you do is you take your card base and you measure it at 5. Yeah, you measure it at 7. I'm sorry, not 5. You measure it at 7 because you want it to be 7 long. And then you measure it on the other side to 10. 7 gives us our length. This is 7. And now this is 10. So if we take this card base and we score it at 5, which is just in half, then we get a 5x7 card. And that's what we usually see in a store. 5x7. Simple card base, what we see every day. So all I did was take the 8.5 by 11. I put it and cut off 1 inch off. Then I turned it and I cut off, 1.5 inches off. Then I cut 1 inch off and I scored it in the middle. You have a 5x7. Easy peasy card base. Then the newest card that we see, especially with Crafter's Companion, is a 4x6. So what you do is with a 4x6, I can make it easier with a standard A2 card base. A 4x6 card base is 8. So the first thing we do is we cut off a half, which a standard sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11. So you just cut off that half, which gives you 8. And then you take this, did I do that right? 6, yeah. And cut it to 6. It gives you a lot of extra paper to work with for your mat and layers. And then you just take this and you score it at 4. And that gives you the new popular size for Crafter's Companion, 4x6. I wouldn't use an 8.5 by 11 size because you get this extra waist. I would use a 12 by 12. It's already it's a 12 by 12. If you cut it at 6, so you already have 2 pieces. Now this is one card base. This can be another card base. And then you turn this and cut this at 8. It gives you another mat that you can use for your card to mat and layer if you choose to. So I cut it at 6 this way. Then I cut it at 8. And then I score it at 4. So you have so much less waste if you use a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And so there you go. You have a 4x6. And this is, as you can see, the same size. Okay? So, many times we try to figure out how to take the card bases and transform them into something else, which is what I'm getting ready to do now. So, if we take our standard A2 size card base, we can take this card base, take it and score it at, if we put our score mark, which is here, and put it at the 2 mark and score, now we've made a backwards fold card. And so all I did was score it, and that should have been 2 1/8. And now we have a card base just like that. And all you're doing is folding this back in half, which gives you still an A2 size, but just a different kind of base. Okay? Also, if you take a regular A2 size card base, easy peasy. If you want to make a, what everybody call, this is called a Z fold card base, but if you want to give it a little bit of something to it, cut off this card base, or should I do it to the 5x7? Let me do it to the 5x7, which gives me more card to work with. I'm cutting this at 2 1/2. So all I did was create a 5x7 card base, and I'm just cutting 2 1/2 off. So you have 2 pieces to this card base. Simple as that. Then we're going to put these 2 pieces together. But in order to make this look right, you have to add that extra fold to it. So you're going to add the extra fold here, and you're going to add that extra fold here. And you can do the fold before you cut it. It doesn't matter, because if you look, it's the same thing. And then you just flip it over. And now this becomes a, gotta flip it like this. Now this becomes a, what we call the Z fold card, and it folds in just like that. So make sure that it started over here, flip this over here, and now this folds in perfectly. Okay, you see how I did that? I took this these two 5x7 card base, I cut it at 2.5, and then I took the bottom piece and I just flipped it over. That's it. And now you have a card that moves. And a lot of times people decorate this part, and it could be considered a box card if you glue this piece down and this piece down, just like that. See the box in the middle? Very wonderful. This is how people do wiper cards and the like. Okay? So, also, you can take, this is the extra piece that I took and cut to 6. In order to make a different kind of fold, which is what we know as a gate fold, I would cut this piece down to 8, which now makes this 8x6. And if you score this at 2 on one side, and you can do this with any size card that is even, you should be able to do this and score it on the other side. So all I did was cut this down to 6. I left it at 6. It was already cut that way, by 8. And then I scored it on 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and you should be able to fold it, and they meet in the middle, and this is called a gatefold. That's a gatefold. All cards start with this type of base. Simple. Okay, next card base we're going to work with is a 12x12 sheet of paper. Really, really simple. All you're going to do is you're going to take that card stock and cut it in half, and then score it in half. And once you score it in half and you fold it in half, now you have the popular 6x6. 6x6 card base. Isn't that great? And everything else blooms from there. When you cut out different mats and layers, you mat and you start out with these basic card layers. Basic card layers. So we have a 6x6. We had a 5x7, which we now transformed into the little fancy card here, which is still a 5x7. It's just been cut. We have a 4x6 made 2 different ways out of an 8.5x11 and a 12x12 sheet of paper. Okay, we have a 4x6 or an 8x6 that now is a gatefold. We have a regular A2 that has been folded with one side, which makes what they call a Z because it looks like a Z. It looks like a Z. See? Looks like a Z. That's why they call it a Z fold. Then we have the standard A2, horizontal and vertical A2 sides card bases. Okay. And we can get our what we know as a card for gifts. Is we take a 6x6 piece of paper, which all I did was cut this down to make the 6x6. Then you cut this to 3. You score it in half. So all you're doing is taking a piece of 6x6, cutting it at 3, folding it in half, and now you have the famous 3x3 note card. There you go. So you have all of these different bases into which things pivot from. You can take a regular card base that is made from 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11. You can take these 2 pieces, cut it in half as usual. So now we have 2 pieces. See that? 2 pieces. Then what you do to make this card base, you score it at 1. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. On the right, there we go. Oh, you know what? There's a 1 over here that makes this easier. Score this at 1. Score it again at 1.5. Flip this over, do the same thing again. Score it at 1 and 1.5. This is still an A2 card base now. You do the same thing with the other half. So instead of making 2 separate cards, we're making 1 card base. So I'm scoring it at 1 and 1.5, and then I'm flipping it over and I'm scoring it again at 1, and then again at 1.5. And so we're going to now make what I consider like a specialty card. And what you do is you take a die and cut out the center, do some kind of center cut here, and fold that in going one way. So I'm folding that second score line in and that other score line out, just like that. And then I'm taking the other one and I am folding that score line inward and this one outward. And I'll do the same thing for this one. It's scored inward and outward. And these 2 pieces go together to make a card base like that. And you decorate it however you like. And then this folds flat to fit in an envelope. It folds flat, just like that. But it's an A2 card base. But it folds, when you do this, these 2 pieces fold flat. See that? So you can put this into a 6x6 card base. Or an envelope, excuse me, a 6x6 envelope. And so I'm still taking regular card bases and doing the same type of thing. You're using the same card bases all the time. And that's how you make replicas of cards, using the card bases. Okay? So we have several different card bases. And so I just really want to go over that and show you how you can use regular cardstock to make different size bases for your cards. Okay? So when we get back tomorrow, when you see me do a video or the next video I do, and I start out with a card base because it came in the kit, you know now how to make it yourself. So when you get the pack of, this is the card making compendium, and it came with a group of card bases. We know this is a 6x6 that has been cut down to 3. This is a 4x6 that is cut to 6x8, folded in half. 6x6 was a 12-inch sheet of paper cut in half, scored in half. And then this is a 5x7 sheet, so it's really 10x7. But we don't do much work because we already get these in our kits. So now you can do them yourself. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you viewing my videos. And I just wanted to give a quick overview about basis. All right. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.